After learning that the most powerful person in the world is residing at your palace, you make a massive yet calculated risk. See, you decide to smuggle yourself in a bed sack into the heart of your enemy's territory because you know that there is no man in the world that can resist your sharp intellect and your feminine charms. I am your host, Mr. Phan, and today Cleopatra steals the heart of the mighty dictator Julius Caesar. When they first met, Cleopatra was a young and beautiful 22-year-old woman, while Julius Caesar was a 52-year-old veteran of several wars. Now, that didn't matter to Cleopatra. It didn't matter to her that there was a 30-year age difference, that he was old enough to potentially be her grandfather. No, in Cleopatra's eyes, she saw an end to the civil war that she was losing against her brother and rival Ptolemy the 13th. She also saw a way for her to increase her standing not just in Egypt, but the entire Mediterranean world. So once she made it behind Ptolemy's defenses, she approached the mighty Julius Caesar and used her described soft voice, sharp intellect, and oratory skills to get into the mighty general's good graces. Ptolemy, who had angered Caesar with the stupid betrayal of Pompey, found out too late that his rival had outplayed him. So, upon realizing that Caesar had been successfully charmed by Cleopatra, Ptolemy attempted to rouse the people of Alexandria into a riot. But he forgot that Caesar himself was a master of oratory and winning public support. So, after calming the people down, Caesar took the bickering siblings before the Assembly of Alexandria. Think US Congress or UK's Parliament, and read their father's will. Now, the will by Ptolemy the 12th, their father, clearly stated that Ptolemy the 13th and Cleopatra the 7th are supposed to rule Egypt together as co-regents. So, using this will and his authority as consul of Rome, Caesar ordered the siblings to disband their armies, to cease their insignificant little war. He then made the younger siblings, Arsenal the Fourth and Ptolemy the 14th, co-regents and rulers of Cyprus. Now, he did this for actually two reasons. One, he wanted to remove he wanted to remove rivals to the throne of Egypt, considering the rivalry that was already in existence between Ptolemy the 13th and Cleopatra. And two, he wanted to gain public support from the Egyptians, the Egyptian population, who were bitter. If you remember, during the Ptolemy the 12th era, what led to his exile was the forced annexation by Rome of Cyprus and its territories. Now, obviously, these orders greatly favored Cleopatra. After all, she had everything to gain. She was losing a civil war against her brother. She was living in exile again in Syria in hopes of building up her forces to retake her homeland, the city of Alexandria and Egypt. So Ptolemy refused to disband his army. Pothinus, his loyal advisor, actually sent secret orders to General Achilles, summoning his army to siege Alexandria. And the younger sister, Arsenal the Fourth, saw her opportunity. You see, what she did was she escaped the city, met up with the approaching army, and declared herself the true Queen of Egypt and the rightful wife of Ptolemy XIII, openly opposing Caesar's authority. So Arsenal actually took another step in order to consolidate her own power. She actually had General Achillas killed and replaced with her own loyal retainer and tutor, the eunuch Ganymedes, further complicating and weakening Ptolemy's political position. Now, Caesar did discover Pothinus's plot through one of his loyal slaves and had him executed before the encroaching army laid siege to Alexandria. Now, there was a new player in this Game of Thrones, and Ptolemy's political influence had weakened considerably. This is kind of funny now that I think about it, but the Ptolemaic line seemed to have the power, the ability to produce very strong, ambitious women, such as Cleopatra the Fifth, Berenice the Fourth, D. Cleopatra, Cleopatra the Seventh, and now the younger sister, Arsinoe the Fourth. It's just it's kind of shame that this family was so focused in betraying and backstabbing each other instead of uniting against the real threat, the Roman Republic. But I digress. Somehow, Caesar actually fell for a obvious ruse by Ganymedes. See, while the city of Alexandria was being sieged, Ganymedes demanded Ptolemy be made negotiator and sent out and speak on behalf of Julius Caesar. Ptolemy obviously did not return back into the city and instead joined the army that was sieging Alexandria. So, like I said, he fell for a ridiculous ruse. Now, on one hand, Caesar had lost a valuable hostage, but on the other hand, he was alone with Cleopatra. See, as the siege continued, Cleopatra kept the general relieved while they waited for Caesar's reinforcements to come. It was during this window of time that Caesar's only biological son, Ptolemy the 15th Caesar, also known as Caesarion, was conceived. Now, after holding out for a year during the siege, Caesar's reinforcements arrived in the first quarter of 47 BC, driving back the Egyptian army. Not wasting any time, Caesar immediately mounted a counterattack, dealing a crushing defeat against Ptolemy's forces at the Battle of the Nile. Ptolemy XIII drowned while he was trying to retreat. General Ganymedes, he was killed in combat, and Arsinoe IV, she was captured. So after winning this war, Caesar did what was typical of Roman generals after winning. He took all the prisoners that he had and he paraded them through the streets of Rome, garnering the admiration and attention of the public, and more jealousy from the local senators who were already cautious of his power. But here's a fan fact for you. Now, it was customary during these parades that any prestigious prisoners that you had with you would be publicly strangled while the public jeered and insulted the poor soul to be. However, Arsinoe IV was able to garner empathy using her skills of oratory and feminine charms. She was able to get empathy from the Roman citizens who actually pressured Julius Caesar to be merciful. So instead of a public execution, Arsinoe was sent to the temple of Artemis in Ephesus, where she was kept under a watchful eye. Now, suspiciously, Cleopatra was specifically recorded not being part of the festivities. Even though it was not specifically mentioned, it is safe to assume the reason why. She was pregnant with Julius Caesar's only biological son. Now, after the death of Ptolemy XIII, Caesar appointed Cleopatra's youngest brother, Ptolemy XIV, to be the next male co-regent of Egypt. However, by this point in time, Egypt was firmly controlled by Cleopatra. So this was an empty title. Compare it to the King of England today or the Emperor of Japan today. It's more a symbolic title, not anything that has any meaningful power, military power behind it. And in order to make her presence even further known throughout the Mediterranean world, Cleopatra made it very obvious that Caesarion was Julius Caesar's only biological son. It did not help that Caesar, who normally quells rumors as soon as it comes out, stayed suspiciously quiet. In the next video, we will learn that there is a cost to hogging the limelight. Envious eyes from numerous victories lurked in the shadows. Offended figures from scandals and affairs quietly sharpened their daggers. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I want to thank each and every single person who subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much for allowing me to take the next step in achieving my dreams. And in for as a sign of gratitude to y'all, I will also be releasing a Father's Day special video Sunday morning. I highly recommend for you to click that notification bell so you would be able to watch it, and I promise it will be worth your time. As always, have an amazing day and have a wonderful weekend.